And we continue with the Christmas series, Epiphany Morning, January 8th. The song Just the Way You Are by Billy Joel for me brings up childhood. Whenever I hear it, I go back to the leafy green streets of Sedgefield. I particularly remember my mom driving the 1995 gray Nissan Sentra past the Pepsi plant with its rectangular glass windows facing South Boulevard, and seeing the car's reflection and my own in the windows. I swear it's as clear as day in that reflection. Of course, both plant and neighborhood are gone, and the small-town community feel has turned into this grotesque New York hipster atmosphere. I suppose it sounds awful and highfalutin, but you play that song to a millennial, the people of my generation, and they'd stare at you like you had a second head. Well, maybe there are a few who'd appreciate the song. Alexa Ray Joel definitely would. I never really thought much about those songs from childhood. I just wanted to move forward. After middle school, I switched to 99.7 The Fox and discovered the joys of classic rock, and then 106.5 The End to discover the joys of modern rock. I never cared about the AOR easy listening music that dominated my elementary and middle school years. As soon as I switched over from 104.7 to 99.7, it felt like I was casting the line and setting sail. It felt like I was on a spaceship finally leaving Earth. I watched the blue orb get smaller and smaller as the ship sped away. I was moving forward, and really there was no point in looking back. The question of remembering my childhood through music came up when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and saw how Peter Quill's playlist was his anchor to his childhood. They got the ball rolling in my head, and soon I began sporadically to pick and choose the few songs that I remember from my own childhood. When they began tearing down my old neighborhood, the task grew even more fervently, and I built up an MP3 library of over 200 songs, but I felt it was incomplete. It wasn't enough, and it was nowhere close to what I had wanted. And then came Spotify. At first I was resistant, but eventually gave in. And soon the few songs I cobbled together I put into my own playlist called Light 102.9, named after the radio station I listened to as a kid. And soon it grew to 200, 500, 700, 1000, 1200, 1500. The more it grew, it felt the more I was remembering. I remember you now, I'd say to a song after hearing the first few bars. Now I know who you are. It's presently come close to 1800 songs, but it still doesn't feel complete. There are a few songs still rattling in my head I'm trying really hard to recall, and others that Spotify just don't have, like the remix version to The Lucky One by Amy Grant. But I now have my own anchor to the past, one that I can point to with confidence and say, this is what I was listening to as a child. Mind you, there are a few songs that I know for sure I never listened to as a kid, but they carry the spirit of the music, those soft rock tunes from the 1970s and 80s that seemed appropriate and wouldn't have seemed out of place. I may have lost the neighborhood, but at least now I had something to link the present with the past.